The Bantrall system is not at war. Bantrall was never, until recently, a wealthy colony. The planet had resources enough to maintain its own small economy, with none worth exporting. There was never any need for the corporate sponsors of its initial colonization to interfere with its administration. In the halls of the Solar Union Commerce, land shares on Bantrell traded for nothing. No cost, no gain. You might throw all of my land shares on Bantrall into your golf wager as a joke, or give them as a prank gift to a friend. Recently, though, there was a minor development in an obscure biochemical processing technology, and the novel features of Bantrall's ecosystem went from being a scientific curiosity to being an untapped and unknowably deep wellspring of wealth. Land shares on Bantrall are no longer ignored asterisks on anyone's balance sheet. The handover of administration and power from the descendants of Bantrall's original Terran colonists to the newly interested legal right holders, the self-proclaimed landowners, has been cheerful, orderly, and mutually profitable. There have been a few isolated spats, of course, but there's been practically no protracted, bitter, bloody war of resistance between the displaced old Bantresh aristocracy and the off-world landowners. When a landowner uses a threat of violence to force hereditary great families to give up their land, keeping them on as guides and entertainers, it's cheerful. When we offer them in exchange a negligible sum, it's mutually profitable. And when fiery companies of Bantresh irregulars respond by raiding their holdings, seizing arms and material against future battles, and local insurrectionists take advantage of the upset by forcibly occupying biochemical processing facility, and the landowners respond with a ruthless crackdown and martial law, these are a few isolated spats. To admit otherwise would be to invite the investigation of the Terran Transit Authority's mediation and peacekeeping forces. Then no one would get rich from Bantrall but the TTA.
We open on the image of like a projection off of a data slate. It's not like an actual monitor, it's like the projection of a monitor. And there's a wave file that's playing. And we hear a woman's voice. It's not a woman's voice we've heard before. And it sounds like a very canned response of, thank you so much for your interest in, I need a name, uh, Caprican Enterprises. Thank you for your interest in Caprican Enterprises, leading the way in Banterfield production since 2906. We appreciate your information regarding recent activities on Bantril. And we would be interested in speaking more with you about Peak Zenith and opportunities that exist there. However, at this moment, the political climate does not permit us to take any action. We'll be in touch at a later date. Thank you for your interest. And the shot pans out. We see Ray sitting at a desk drumming his fingers on a table, looking very pissed off. He grabs a pill bottle and chucks it across the room. We see it smack into a wall, the cap come off, and all these little white pills just spill all over the floor. And for a moment, he just sits there looking both kind of pissed off and kind of at a loss for what to do. And then the shot stays focused on his desk, but we see him get up, and out of focus in the background, we see him bending down and picking up all the pills that scattered and putting them back in the bottle. And that's the scene.
Cool. So We move to the inside of a spaceship. You see a handful of soldiers. They're clustered around a a box playing poker, and we see that they're Bryn soldiers. We saw them before in when Sash invaded the extra dimensional fortress, and they're talking about what they're going to do. This is like 2 weeks ago in game time, and they don't know where Bryn is. So one of them is like, "Well, what are we going to do if we can't find the young master? You know, after 3 months in face, we're legally dead. Well, you're dead. How are you going to collect on your severance pay then?" And she just shrugs and says, "Well, they've got to pay us, right?" And we see the pilot, Yoy, she's got pigtails. She says, "No, I mean, if everybody on the ship is dead and everybody on the planet's dead, then the company gets sold to the highest bidder. We get nothing." And the original person just sighs and says, "Well, I guess we'll have to land the ship before then. Get our money and get out while we can." And at this point, we see Navari, who's a robot, doesn't say anything, just folds his poker hand, gets up from the table, and walks away. Uh, we follow Navari as it teleports down to the planet and begins walking down the streets looking for Bryn. Then we cut over to someone else, a young boy. He looks like an anime protagonist. He's got spiky hair and that shitting grin. And we see that he's got Bryn's amulet that she uses to control the mechs. And he's standing on the edge of Skyphos. And he holds up the amulet and concentrates. And we see Bryn's night mech get warped in on the outside of the city. And it just walks through semi-permeable dome and starts knocking down buildings. And the kid starts laughing, like he's got all this power. He's like, "Yes, finally, the revolution will begin. We're going to purge this planet of the off-worlders and the noble houses." And he starts laughing, ha ha ha. But there's a click sound behind him, and the camera moves. We see Navari standing behind him, and just shoots the punk in the head, and picks up the amulet um, from his corpse while he's bleeding out, and walks away. So we switch scenes again. This time we see Bryn in her little apartment next to the trash compactor, and she's not wearing her robot arm, and she's got like 4 or 5 other androids in the room that she's tinkering with. Like they're in various states of repair. And the door slides open, and the Very walks in. He's got the amulet around his neck and another broken down android over his shoulders. And he stumps down to the ground, stumps the broken android down to the floor of the room and closes the door behind him. Brenda just looks up and they lock eyes for a second, and the Very picks up her prosthetic arm and offers it to her, and she's like pushes it away. She says, "No, I don't want to use that. It's not a part of me. It's wrong." And so Navari picks up one of the android arms and offers that to her instead, and she says, "I can't use that. It's not delicate enough for the work I'm doing." And then Navari like takes off his own arm and offers that to her, and she says, "No, it won't work. I'm a person, not a robot." And the various like eyes like turn orange, and they don't look mad, they look sad. And Brent looks at him and realizes like what she's doing, that she's just like rejecting these robot parts is not good enough to be part of her body, and that, what does that mean about how she thinks about androids? So she picks up she pushes back, Navari's offering her his own arm, and picks up the prosthetic arm that Sash bought for her and puts it back on. She says, "I guess I'll have to learn accept this as part of me." And Navari is like, lights on his face go back to normal. And we'll end the scene there.
Can any of you say who is the real Sash? That's what Sash says. Performing grandly to no one but an empty living room filled with their own reflections. There aren't particularly many mirrors in this room. There's maybe one, but there's also little reflections everywhere that aren't intended to be there, but are. For example, we see Sash's reflection from the other side of the permeable glass surface that guards or that separates the hot tub from the fencing room. You see the reflection in that, and we have the camera go through that layer until we are on the other side of the glass, and the translucent reflection of Sash becomes the only Sash we can see on camera. And then that reflection starts to say, "There's no way out of this. What are they going to say if I send a guard out there?" And the reflection looks into the reflection of the kitchen, which has its own kitchen window. And we go from this reflection world back into the real world through the reflection of the kitchen window. And outside, we see graffiti on gates. And this part, this place is inside like an air bubble space. I don't know that it's perfectly spherical or not, but it's like airspace where people can come and breathe air and those sorts of things. We see protesters everywhere and graffiti of the word broken promises, with like the way they must have done this is by putting painting tape in like a lightning bolt, spray painting broken promises over it, and then removing the tape because there's a slash in the middle of the broken promises graffiti. We go back in through the window, back out of the mirror space, and once we're finally back in the Sash's wheelhouse, everything begins to darken, fading to black, but then coming back to dark gray. We see the reflection of Sash's living room again, and simultaneously the screen breaks and the monitor turns on, and we see a WAV file in white and light gray. We see the waveform and a little tracker moving from left to right, crossing the bumps of the waveform. And we are hearing a woman singing, "Ooh, yeah, you and me, serendipity." And then it pauses and loops back to the beginning. We zoom out from that over Sash's shoulder because they are working on a new track. And then we hear Sash's inner monologue again. There's no escape from this. I can't send a guard out there. I can't go out there myself. I can't send Amphi out there. Amphi's getting mad at me. Amphi found out about Dad. I can't appease them. I can't be a martyr. I can't go to the dark place beyond that. I can't have relief or satisfaction of any kind. I can't even let myself have a bit of darkness to myself. But I know this won't end, or at least I don't see how it can, but I think that somewhere in seeing that there's no hope at all, I will become a stronger person. But I can't focus on the strength I'll gain from this right now, or it'll just be another escape and I won't get any stronger at all. That's my scene.
Okay. So from there, we cut over to Silver sitting at her desk in her office in the Peak Zenith building. And she looks tired and overworked. Her desk is littered with both physical paper and multiple digital pads, data slabs, what have you, as well as like 3 monitors that all have different things pulled up. And she's sipping on some tea that's in a like very round glass mug. And She definitely looks like she's been overworked. We can see through like the window behind her that it's well past dusk, and it's getting into the evening time. So she looks like she's about to get back to work when her door opens, and a large, you could call him chubby man, opens the door. He is wearing a suit, as she is basically another someone working in her department here. We've seen him before. He's part of the squad that was sent to supplement everyone that had been fired. And so we've seen him. He's one of her mech pilots, and she looks up a little bit perturbed at the interruption and says, "What is it, Mr. Mole?" And he kind of nods apologetically and says, "Oh, sorry, but I have it here, what you've been asking about." And she like makes a gimme motion. He kind of scuttles into the door, closing it behind him, and then comes across the room a little bit sheepishly before handing over the folder that he had. And she takes it and she takes a look at it, and she rubs her brow a little bit like I was there, and is like, "I can't believe it took him this long to do this. But at least Ray can't be mad at me for this anymore." And she like slams the folder down on the table, and she looks up, and Mr. Mole's still standing there looking a little bit sheepish, and she's like, "What else is it? You know I'm busy." And he says, "Well, I thought you should know. Corporate's sending an HR representative and a lawyer." And she like just stares at him, and he kind of shuffles his feet a little bit and is like, they're taking it really serious. Well, we all know that Ray's got quite a audience, and well, and she like interrupts him and says, "I know very well that there is no HR policy against any of my relationships." And she like stares him dead in the eye. "Unlike some other people here, we all know that inter-office dating is strictly prohibited. So, if I were you, I would keep your theories to yourself and sit further away from Mr. Chavez when we go out drinking." And at which point, she just goes back to her work, effectively dismissing him without saying anything, and he scuttles off. And that's my scene.
Oh snap! That was savage.
Oh my god.
That was very good. I like
All of those were very good.
all very good scenes. So, Sash, let's do some sword fighting.
Ah!
I would like to meet sword to sword with Sash.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, cool. Decide together how the two of you came to be standing alone, sword to sword. I have some thoughts about this. I think we talked about this a little bit when we were figuring out what games we were going to play this week. And I think, would we be getting something from one of your warehouses, or would we be getting intel on you or something? Like, what were we after is what I want to ask you.
I feel like you already have tons and tons of people right outside my house. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So a part of that could be protest, another part of it could be surveillance.
Okay, but how do we come to be standing alone together, sword to sword? Because I'm I'm incognito. You don't know that I'm your dual partner, but we're out of our mobile frames.
Hmm.
So I feel like I did something. You gave chase, and I kind of let you catch me to help my team get away. But I'm not sure what we were after that you caught us doing.
Okay. Honest to goodness, I have no idea.
I'm leaning towards because I don't want you to have a professional relationship with Peak Zenith because if you guys ally, that is against my interests. It strengthens both of your positions, and that's not something I want to have happen. So maybe I was trying to like establish like a way into your system so I could divert mail and like 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 an inside hack or something. So I could like a backdoor. I was setting up a backdoor in your system so I could try to sabotage that professional relationship.
Hmm.
And whether or not that succeeded, we can talk about that later, but that's what you caught us in the middle of something like that.
Okay, I have a perfect thing in mind for this because Sash used it herself or their self.
Sure.
Um, do you remember in one of my solitaires earlier where there were like these circular benches?
I think so.
That I didn't say it then because like it was in the flood of like coming up with a solitaire and doing all the acting all at once.
Sure.
But that place is I've always had that place in my head as a cultural consultancy firm for the Bantrash nobles that is actually a PH fishing operation because they have so many like accounts and passwords and secret information on landowner um, accounts and like just all these sorts of accounts, but also um, I think Sash's information has to be there in, as well. It's just that people on the outside usually don't know. They're not supposed to know that that place has a lot of information in it. But I
Okay.
think maybe you obviously have spies.
Yeah.
And I think you
We've
figured that
established
out
that
now.
already. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, do you have any idea where this sword fight's taking place then?
I have to say, because it's in the same tower as the firm, um, this is in the nightclub, but during day hours or during hours where.
Yes. That's perfect. I love it.
Mhm.
Okay. What do we notice about each other? What have we heard?
You know that I'm clearly desperate to have you back in my life as a friend, as a romantic partner. However that needs to work out, I need you back in my life.
How do I know this? Like, have you just been reaching out or
Several times.
okay? um, you notice that this person in front of you is clearly up to no good. I'll say that. And then you notice that Ray has not been doing concerts as much anymore. Like, it's almost like it seems like he's withdrawn. Like, he's not in the media as much anymore. Whenever he posts videos, they're less frequent, but they're more inflammatory. He seems kind of like he's in a downward self-destruction spiral.
Mhm.
So that's what you've noticed and heard about Ray. And
Amazing.
also he still hasn't reached out to you.
Yeah.
Um
Okay.
we have one more question, and who is better with the sword? What's more interesting? Because I could see it going either way.
I think Ray's better with the sword.
I'm fine with that. Okay. So we're in this nightclub during the day. Um, I've let you chase me here to let my team get away. Um, I I'm looking for a way out, and I hear your like footsteps run up behind me, and so I think I've turned around. I pull out. Um, I think I've got like a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other.
Hmm.
And I turn around to face you. I'm wearing a balaclava, so you can't see any of my features. And I think I've also got like black makeup around my eyes to kind of also conceal like my skin tone and stuff. I've got like I'm wearing all black, black leather jacket, black shirt, black jeans, black boots, um, black gloves. So I'm like very concealed. But that also makes my blue eyes look even more blue behind my mask.
Hmm.
Um,
So perfect.
um,
Oh,
see.
maybe I'm in a power suit.
You can be in a power suit.
That's kind of what I think because I have to get out of my house to be here somehow.
I'm not in any armor. I'm just like I'm in like street clothes basically, but
Mhm.
like concealed. Like I look like someone up to no good. I think we circle, sword tips touching. What do you say to me?
Now that you know, all of you are a liability. And I think you can notice that Sash is looking for surveillance cameras and being cagey and vague in their language.
Okay. Oh, one more thing that I want you to have noticed
Sure.
is that as we were scattering, you heard my team call me captain.
Hmm.
So you know that I'm the person in charge of this operation.
Okay. Excellent.
'Cause I think that's interesting.
So I'm kind of using this to gain leverage. Um, I think I am trying to circle so that you forget certain parts of the surroundings. And I I think the back of your thigh bumps into one of these circular concentric multi-folding out sci-fi tables.
Okay.
And I use the fact that you have stopped moving backwards to gain leverage. And where is it? Why do I keep losing things on this particular game? There we go. I catch your wrist in my hand and draw you close to me. Do you let your sword drop or do you shove me away and fight on? I'm very obviously trying to apprehend you.
Um, I am not ready to be apprehended. So I think I twist and like thrust my arm at the weakest part of your grip, and maybe you don't expect it, so I'm able to break away, and then I like slide over the table, and now I'm on the other side of it.
Hmm.
Um, I think like this is a very one-sided fight in that like I don't seem to be making a lot of driving attacks towards you. And maybe it's because you're in your power armor and so I realize like that's not really possible, or maybe I'm looking around a lot trying to like find a way out and you're trying to capture me. So I think that's kind of like the vibe of this fight that we're getting. And I think during one point where I'm like trying to duck and roll past you, you you touch me, cutting me across the rib or across the arm, do you press your attack or do you give me a moment?
Since I want to capture you for information and I don't want, because I really don't want to make an enemy out of the revolutionaries. My end goal is really to bring them over to my side and like all do this together because we both have something to gain. So I let you recover because I'm really not trying to like end this in bloodshed at all. So the thing about these tables is that they're extremely easy to use, such that we're locked in combat together.
Mhm.
And as we're locked, I do something that might look like a shin kick, and that sort of makes sense because I'm wearing power armor and you are probably not wearing as tough of armor, so you probably
I'm
think I'm
not
trying to.
wearing armor at all.
Yeah, exactly. So you might think I'm trying to break your legs, but what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to get you out of the way so that I can press the underside of the desk, and with like just a touch of a foot, there's lights on the desk that come around into a perfect circle and then push up, and then another one comes up behind it, and another one behind it, and another one behind it, and that makes like a stair step, so that when you retreat, I have something to step up onto, and I launch. I'm leaping off of the stairs, and I launch a sustained attack with all my weight behind it. Do you give ground readily or grudgingly?
Oh, readily. I'm getting the heck away from you.
Mhm.
Um, like, I think, like, I'm very quick. I think I'm probably quicker than you are because you're in your power armor, and so you have to kind of like you can only move as fast as the power armor lets you do, and so maybe it's like kind of like a trudge or something, and
Mhm.
so I'm able to just kind of like dart back away probably faster than you would have expected.
Mhm.
And I'm not interested in pressing an attack on you. I mean, has already become rapidly clear that I'm not trying to hold ground. I'm trying to find an escape.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I'm off balance right now.
yeah. Oh no, no, no. Okay, I was reading the last one and I'm like, no, no, no. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
um, I think I I'm trying to escape and I overreach slightly and you have an opportunity to slip in a dirty little cut. Do you take it?
You're very lucky because if if you had overreached with the other arm, I would have been able to grab you. But now I have a sword, and that's the wrong tool for this job. So I put back distance between us, and I bring back up my guard. Um, and I think as since I'm making a very neutral move here, you knock my sword rattling out of my hand. Do you allow me to recover it, or must I submit?
I allow you to recover it. Like, I knock it off in one direction, and then I probably just start darting in the other direction. And so you have the opportunity to go grab your sword and give chase again and corner me.
I think that might end the meeting sword to sword, because I think now I realize what's happening here, and I leave the sword behind, and I think this turns it into a chase.
Okay. Cool.
I like it.
Just for clarity's sake, we are doing that chase third as
Yeah.
opposed to
Right.
second.
We're gonna go into Bryn's scene next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yay, Bryn.
Boop. It's Bryn now.
Muted.
I clicked the unmute button.
All right, now you're not muted. There you go.
All right, my setup is kind of wonky. I would like to steal time with Silver. And I would like
All right.
to basically be having a job interview in her office.
Okay. Okay. I feel ya.
So I think
Oops.
like you have like
That's right. What was that?
oh yeah, I thought you were fixing something.
No, I already fixed it. I was waiting for you to get back
Okay.
talking.
So I think like Bryn sent you her resume. It was like, do you have a job where you need administrative assistant or mech pilot?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And by this point, I think you've noticed like there's this big scandal on the news about how House Minosa covered up like this
What? You cut out there.
arrival landowner, this Bryn. House Minosa covered up Bryn's arrival, and it's all over the news about how Harnell Industries has a an actual frigate and like just hovering above the city, and then it left face space and it's just hovering over the city. Like and there's like they're like buying supplies to refuel and restock before they leave Bantro. And so there's this big like news story. It's all over the news about how Bryn was hiding on the planet under a fake name, and is really Brian Harnell.
Okay. What you notice about Silver is that she looks tired. She's very well put together. Her makeup is on point, but it's not hiding the bags under her eyes. She looks distracted, even you might say, as you come in for this interview.
And Bryn's wearing like this fake military uniform that's in style among corporations on Earth. So like imagine like she's wearing this boy's dress military uniform. Um, but she's still got this long hair and makeup and
What name is on her resume?
Brian.
Interesting. So, I think Silver is distracted enough that she did not put this together.
Mm.
She is absolutely caught off guard when the person that she is set to interview is Bryn. So, yeah, so she, she's sitting behind a desk, and a tall, dark-haired woman with a very like a pencil dress and like a little vest and long sleeves with her, instead of having a Peak Zenith ring, she has like Peak Zenith cufflinks on this dress shirt. And she leads you into Silver's office and says, you know, Miss Childs, your 2 o'clock is here. Brian, for the interview. And Silver doesn't really look up, and she just kind of gestures at a chair across from her desk. And once you're actually in the room, the secretary will close the door, and you'll be alone in there with her. She's obviously working on something. She's like furiously typing at a keyboard right now, and has not even looked up yet.
All right, cool. Yeah, Bryn is like smiling and energetic. Like she has this energy of somebody who's like fresh out of college and is going to use all the interview tips that she was taught to use. So she's like sitting straight up in the chair and with that, friendly smile on her face.
And she's wearing her prosthetic arm?
She is. And she's also wearing one of those holographic rings, but this one's for Harno Industries instead.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. What do you think you applied for?
I don't even know if you like had job postings. Like, would you be hiring on Bantraphyll necessarily?
I mean, potentially. We potentially would be hiring on Bantraphyll, but I mean, if that's what you're here for, then it sounds like we were. And it's possible that this was not a job listing that was posted on Bantraphyll. This could have been a job listing posted like on the Interstellar Commerce. And
yeah, that makes sense.
If you only heard about it because of your family connections back home. Like,
yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And you are a qualified applicant being an off-worlder.
Right.
Because that's not racist at all.
Like, you don't have to pay for relocation. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And you can start immediately and not like 6 months from now or whatever, however long it takes for your typical cargo liner to get across the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, so great. So you just sit there quietly until she's done?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, after a while she like hits send, she like on an email or publish on a web page or whatever it was she was doing. And she like then clicks around a few more things and finally pulls up like a copy of your resume and is reading from the resume and still not looking at you. And is like, oh, now I have to come up with this position. Okay. So actually, I don't. We don't need to talk about what the position actually is. Whatever. So she's like, Brian, right? Uh, where do you see yourself at peak zenith?
Well, I'm hoping that, and you like immediately recognize this voice.
Yeah, and then I like do a double take, like look over. I'm like, wait, Bryn?
Yeah. Or Brian, if whatever you prefer.
She's just like thinking about it for like processing for a second, because like all of the like rumors that have been kind of in the background that she hadn't been paying attention to like just suddenly pop up in the forefront of her mind, and she's just like, well, whichever you'd prefer, really.
And Brent's like just like confused for a second.
I guess this doesn't really change my question. Where do you see yourself here at peak zenith? Where do you see yourself here at peak zenith?
Well, I'm hoping that I can become an assistant administrator and eventually, help run operations for Peak Zenith here on Bantro. Hopefully, get to work with you.
And she looks very distinctly at your Harnell ring, and is like, and your affiliation?
Well, I'm part of the family, but I don't actually work for the company.
I see.
It'd be like, I own shares of Harnell Industry, but I don't have, I don't actually work for the company.
I think I understand. As if you get hired, that may be something that you're going to need to discuss with HR, but it's not important if you don't fit our criteria.
She just nods excitedly.
You've been here on Bantraphyll for a while.
A little over a month.
Interesting. Not having to pay for relocation costs is always a huge factor in Peak Zenith's hiring process, so I will definitely be in your favor. Did you know that your interview would be with me today?
I was hoping. I don't know how you delegate.
Why didn't you warn me?
Well, I thought it was obvious.
She's like thinking about like all of the huge scandals that have been on the TV, but like in her mind's eye, it's always like in the other room or like above the bar at a restaurant. She's never like watching it.
Right.
So she kind of picked it up by osmosis, and she's like, I'm afraid I honestly hadn't had very much time to review these applicants. I only skimmed your resume this morning. Why don't you sell me on yourself then?
All right. I can do that. Well, as you can see, I've been privately tutored by these accredited tutors. They're some of the highest most well-regarded people in their fields, and you can see I've attached letters of recommendation from them. And I've also have experience piloting mechs and fighting swords of sword, and you know, light administrative duties, helping the family business.
Sure. I mean, I could have gotten that from your resume, though, Bryn. What about you? I've seen you so many times, and yet I feel like I haven't gotten to know you at all. It's always been in passing in the background.
Well, how do I put this? I'm the youngest child of a private of a family that owns a private company. My other siblings, they're going to go on to run the company, but I've got to find my own way in the universe. I think that if I stay with my family, I'm going to be, I saved everyone's lives and I saved the company, and now they're going to go off and have this huge legal battle.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You save their lives, you save the company? That sounds like what I need to hear. There have been a lot of rumors flying around about you now that you've mentioned it. And like up on her computer screen, there's like Twitter feeds where she's searched by hashtags to get more news articles about this scandal and such.
Right. It's probably like a picture of like Bryn's mech, and then it just tells you who was piloting it. She's like, nods at your screen. You can see like I can pilot a mech just fine. I think that I don't think Peak Zenith needs saving. You're doing a great job, but I do think you need people you can trust, and I hope that I know we haven't gotten to know each other that well, but I hope that you at least feel like you can trust me more than just some random person you have no experience with.
She kind of nods and she stands up and walks around her desk. And I put my hand on your shoulder. May I?
You may.
So she puts a hand on your shoulder, and she's short, so you're sitting in a chair, and like her hand on your shoulder is like straight out, with her standing shoulder height. I'm picturing, and and she's like, "You're right. I do need more people I can trust. I'd like it if you would trust me as well."
And Bryn nods enthusiastically.
Well, I'll need to clear it with HR, but I just need you to tell me which name I should be putting on your application.
So Bryn, like, got this confused. And thinking about her life before Bantrell and her life now. And then she nods and says, "You can change it to Bryn. I think it's time for a new start."
Yeah, she nods and lets go of your shoulder, will walk back around her desk and says, I'll send you an email with the final contract. You can expect it by tomorrow.
Thanks, Silver.
You're welcome, Bryn.
And she stands up and says, "I hope we're working together, me and you."
Silver smiles, and like you can see that there's a little bit of the shadow of like all of her exhaustion is just slightly lifted, like that this was sincerely positive for her to hire you here.
Yeah, and Bryn's just like, looks like she had maybe some reservations, but they seem to have be gone now.
All right.
And that's it.
Awesome.
Oh, dang.
Nice scene.
Are we ready?
Are we chasing?
We chasing?
Are we chasing?
Yeah, I think we are. I need to bring up the chase and see what questions we have. So, really obvious.
I
What
don't
have
think
we noticed each other? What have we heard?
Well, also like which one of you's the hunter of the quarry? Also obvious. How did the chase come about? Also obvious. Like we don't need to do any of that start.
Excellent.
The
You
quarry
just copy paste see previous game.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
The quarry conducts the chase. First, say where you're going. Where would I be going? Because I can't lead you. Like, if you follow me home, you know who I am. You know where I live. I can't go there.
Yep.
I can't go to one of our hideouts because then you'll know the location of that as well.
This is a whole big tower.
Yeah, I need to. I know of like a maintenance room in the tower that has a hidden access panel that we've converted into a way to get in and get out. So I'm trying to get there so I can get out and put the panel back in place and then like hermetically seal it so you can't go through and catch me.
Slick. That's awesome.
Okay. Obviously we know we're not in our mobile frames, but you're in power armor.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're still in this empty nightclub area. That's where we start. And I'm going to reskin some of these probably as we go because they don't all fit, but you'll know which one I'm talking about. So basically, you've kind of got me backed into a corner, and there's these high windows at the top of like the club, but they're like all blacked out or whatever. And you see me like leap off of a table and kind of run up a wall and grab the ledge, throw open the window and climb out. And I am racing along a high and perilous ledge. Follow me if you dare, but throw. On tails, you have to slow to pick your way carefully along, and I gain a coin.
I think I'm going to follow you and like turn on some kind of like really short duration thrusters, and they don't recharge, they're entirely one use. But I really can't jump in this armor, so I get some mechanical help.
Okay.
I go and I just go right up to the ledge, and then I think my balance can take it from there. So I'm gonna
We'll
throw.
see about that.
Yeah. Well, a different way of interpreting that phrase is, I think my balance can take
Yeah,
me
there
from
we go.
Which coin should I flip?
The big one, I think.
Okay. Random side.
Tails.
That's tails.
On tails, you have to slow, and I get a coin.
Mm-hmm. Makes more than enough sense.
Cool. Thank you. All right. I need to check something else because I know at one point I have to do an admission. I think it's the
On
third
the
one.
third one. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Cool. All right, second one. So I'm able to put some distance between you because maybe your balance just isn't as good as mine because your power suit's bulky and the ledge is really thin. And since you don't have your rocket boost anymore, you just have to be real careful. Otherwise, you're gonna fall off and fall like, I want to say like 50 stories or something. Like it's a tall tower, and you're just gonna like plummet to the ground. And you just see me like ninja, just like all along this ledge.
I have a question though about the architecture. Because this is like an underwater tower, so it doesn't really make sense for me to fall out the outside of the tower. I'm thinking there must be some sort of like 50-story inner, like all the floors are like donut shaped and empty in the middle. You see what I mean?
Okay, so we're like on the inside of the tower or something.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm
Because
fine with that.
otherwise you're going out into water and then
Well, I was thinking there could also be like a membrane so that way they could open and have a breeze, but still also see the water. But I
Yeah.
think inside's real cool.
yeah.
Yeah, you just see me like walking along this like very nimbly going along this ledge on the inner circle of this tower.
Mhm.
And let's see. Da, 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 da. At one point you see me like leap out over nothing. Like I find a point where I need to go and I leap towards the center and then grab onto the bottom of the ladder of this fire escape and like strong arm myself up onto it and start climbing up this fire escape in the middle. It's a hard, precarious landing, but I make it. Follow me if you dare, but throw. On heads, you gain 1 coin. On tails, though, you barely catch yourself. You're clinging on with all your strength, and the chase ends now with you at my mercy.
Damn. I think you've stolen this move from Sash in Sash's own mind, like, and Sash is an immediate flashback. We will see though. It does not end well.
Oh, so the chase ends now with you at my mercy.
Mhm.
Oh, so how does that look?
I'm thinking I hadn't had enough ground before. Like, you were way too far ahead, and now the only thing I can do is also jump off the ledge and hope to catch you in midair. But you have so much less inertia that you're already like 10 feet away from me by the time I'm in the middle of the ring. And I really lose my positioning midair because the only way I was going to land well is if I had caught you.
Okay. So how are you at my mercy then?
I don't land on my feet when we reach the first floor.
Hmm.
And I'm on my back.
Okay. I want to ramp up the stakes for that, for you
Please.
being at my mercy. I scramble over to you and I like throw open a panel and punch in a code and disable your armor.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with you though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind? Do you guys mind if we do a little free play since this was such a short chase?
I'll allow it.
So I think now your armor has powered down. You're completely at my mercy, and I'm just standing up looking down at you. Do you say anything? Do you do anything?
I look like I'm scrambling to try to remove my armor because now the thing with power armor is now it's like the power steering thing is off. So now like it's much harder than usual for me to like even lift my own arm because I'm literally lifting the entire weight of the armor and it does not really want to move.
I think as you lift your arm, I gently put my foot on your arm and push it back towards the ground. Do you
Mm-hmm.
stop struggling?
I do.
Okay. I hesitate to say anything because I have such you know my voice so well that I'm just like
That's what I'm
just
thinking here too.
yeah. I'm just like I don't want to say anything because the moment I open my mouth, unless even if I put on a fake accent or whatever, you're gonna know it's me.
Mhm.
So
Oh wait. This is a special thing about being Sash though.
okay.
Since the power's been disconnected from the power armor, the
Mhm.
power goes back to my mask,
Okay,
just
sure.
regular Wi-Fi, and I'm calling um, a guard for help, but you can't hear it because it's Sash's mask, and the audio isn't routing to the speakers.
And
It's
I'm not
routing to
close
my
enough to
phone.
hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
or okay.
It's like muffled by the power armor,
Mm-hmm. And the mask.
right?
Hmm. I'm just trying to decide what Ray would do because he doesn't want you chasing. I think there's just a moment where he stares down at you. He waits for you to say something to him. You don't. He doesn't talk. And then he just turns and runs.
Mm-hmm. And there's no possible way I can catch you now.
No.
You see me like on your way away, you look back one more time and you see that I'm struggling to even get on four legs or
That's
get
fine.
on all
Yeah,
fours. Yeah.
I look over and then I just keep running.
Yep.
Like I know you'll be okay because you'll eventually get your armor off, but that's bought me the time I need to get away.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Awesome. Boop. All right, so I am still into my idea here of a debate. Now, Golden, I was talking to you about a debate with Bryn. Are you still, where is it?
Yeah, do we
There
have
it is. An
an
animated
idea?
disagreement, excuse me.
What are we disagreeing about?
That is, in fact, the question. Now, I think it may have something to do with either with your family's company and Peak Zenith. Like your
Hmm.
like your shares in the company, you representing something, you having sold property with or without your company's permission to Peak Zenith or otherwise. Like, I'm trying to think of a way. Go ahead.
So the way I had it figured out is that the land shares that, like, most of their shares were in, like, these Type S voting shares, but the land shares they did have were like for, just thrown in with the Type S shares as, like, here's a summer house. You can build a summer house here one day, and you guys go visit it if you ever want to go to Bantraphyll. And I think that right now there's like an orphanage on that land. So Bryn gave the land shares for an orphanage to House Mimosa, and maybe Peak Zenith would have a problem with that if they had built the orphanage themselves or something.
I could definitely see Peak Zenith building an orphanage. And
yeah, public relations. And building stuff is great for embezzling.
Oh boy, is it.
And it's good PR.
So that's good. Okay, so the people that were in Silver's position before they all got fired and extradited for embezzling had built this orphanage in Peak Zenith's name.
Right.
But the question is, what exactly are we debating?
I guess we're debating whether Bryn has a conflict of interest about this.
Okay. And what do we notice about each other? What have we heard? And where are we holding the discussion? Who else is present? If we're having a debate about whether or not you have a conflict of interests, I'm picturing that we're in a small conference room, and this HR rep and lawyer who have arrived because of Silver's scandal are here now, and now you just hired a child who is the of this other company, even though she's the last child and whatever. They're the spotlight's already on you, Silver. And that's kind of who our audience is.
Yeah, Zenith just is trying to avoid anyone thinking they're going to have more scandals, and here you're trying to hire somebody who is in the middle of a scandal, basically.
And here, I think, that puts us on the same side. I mean,
animated agreement.
That could be fun. Staining and I make up challenges for you to express your fervent agreement.
Okay. How about this? Your position is that there isn't a scandal, and my position is that the scandal will bring us good PR.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, yeah.
That sounds like Silver. Okay. Now that we've established that, audience, ask us questions. Wait. So
We do 3 challenges.
We're gonna do this the same as we usually do, right? One person does one person does the other, and we both agree on the third.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Are you ready for us to start, by the way? Or are you looking up
I'm
something
ready.
else?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Which of us should issue the first challenge?
Are you ready with one? If you're ready, you can go ahead. If you're not, then
I think I do have one because I saw one that was pretty interesting.
yeah, go for it.
Both of you, could you please explain how your position is best for the most people?
I was gonna go with that one.
Maybe we can make that our fusion one, and
Sure,
then
yeah, that's
make the
fine.
other two.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. And then you can decide who goes first, or you can have them decide.
Okay, fascinating. I want Bryn to go first.
All right. So Bryn says, let's see here. There's no scandal. So it's kind of hard to think on my back.
Understandable.
You've been doing a good job so far.
Yeah. Okay. I think Bryn says, the people of Bantraphyll didn't need to know that I was here. I didn't break any laws. And eventually public opinion is going to come out behind me because my family was wronged. And I found help here in Bantraphyll. And now I'm going to stay and help Bantraphyll recover and make it my new home. I don't think anyone is going to have a problem with that. And I think that when people see me, how I can help Bantraphyll and help Pink Zenith, I'm going to, help Bantraphyll through Peak Zenith. It's just going to be better for the company in the end.
Okay. Well, we all know that the media has been eating this story up, and there have been certain other stories that have been in the media recently that really could use the spotlight shifted off of them. We can take this opportunity of small stardom in order to direct the populace's eye where we want it to be. As long as we, Peak Zenith, can be in control, we can make sure that we benefit here and everywhere. Picking up the last child, giving them a home, making her part of the Peak Zenith family. That'll play really well back in Seoul.
What do you think, Lavender?
Surely because best for the most people, I'm thinking
depends on who the most people are, because are there more people in Peak Zenith's Enterprise than there are on Bantraphyll? I think I'm okay with giving it to Bryn too.
Right.
Okay. We'll have Silver go first on this one. Even if it's not actually true or right, please express your commitment to your position.
You've made your way all the way out here because a certain celebrity has been making some very incendiary and very popular web posts and streams. And that's brought the attention of certain people in upper management who are asking a lot of questions. And their attention is bringing everyone else's attention. There are multiple planets, galaxy-wide news sources that are starting to pick up on the trail. And I want what's best for Peak Zenith. And that means we need to spin the story the way we want it. Right now, there's a lot of room for interpretation. But we can spoon feed them a story that's even mostly true. I don't want to leave here. I've done a lot of work for Peak Zenith on Bantraphyll, and I'll do what needs to be done. And Bryn will bring profits for our company, and one way she can do that is playing a little part for us.
If I stay with my family, I mean, there's no future there. I'll never have the chance to rise in the ranks past my older siblings. But here on Bantraphyll, I have a chance to prove that I can make it on my own merits. To prove that I have the skill and the determination to succeed. I don't want to necessarily get involved with the politics. I want to do things in a business-like manner. And I think that you can all see that Peak Zenith has the most opportunities for me. I'm not really going to make it if I leave or if I change sides. Peak Zenith is the best place for me to be. And that's why you can count on me.
If I could, I'd give you both a coin. You both did very well. Just to keep it interesting, I give silver.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
I am absolutely torn between two.
There's a lot of good questions.
Yeah. There's one I'm sort of modifying to be more appropriate to our situation. I think I'm gonna do this one just because it follows more. Please explain how your position is best for peak zenith. And I'll have, let's let Bryn go first.
It's the first time there's no personal attacks. All right. So I think Bryn stands up and she says, I can't speak to can we say that Bryn's had like orientation and like seeing the state that peak zenith is in? Or like, because it's hard to answer that question
If you don't know, yeah, I think
she doesn't know anything like that the public doesn't know. So what do you think, Kelsa?
yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
As long as you promise this isn't going to count as interruptions. I was going to say, I think you would know. Space travel takes time. These people are from off-world. I think that the fact that we're having this meeting is showing that time has passed. Definitely enough time for you to have had at least an orientation and probably started to get looped into some things. If you would like to be not fully up to speed, that's fine. But if you would like to say you're up to speed and make declarative things true about peak zenith, go for it.
All right, yeah, because I really wanted to know if she knew that, you know, how much work it is right now to clean up this mess. So I think Bryn says, I know Silver. I'm beginning to understand why you sent Silver here. That scandal really gutted your operations here. And I can see that Silver's doing her best. And her best will eventually succeed. But if you allow me to work with her, let me to clean up this mess in half the time. I can support her, take some of the load off of figuring out what went wrong. And I can also lead in the field when Silver is otherwise occupied. Every great general needs a good lieutenant. And I think my history and my skills are invaluable for your company to succeed. Without me, you're going to be looking at competition to sneak in where opportunities could be missed. With me, those opportunities will benefit Peak Zenith's stakeholders. And she sits down.
Silver twists her ring, and her holographic projection display pops up, and there is a bar graph, and she makes a little flicking motion, and each one of the members of the audience receives like a multi-page PDF of these documents that she's going to be going over in her little PowerPoint presentation. And she's like, you're not looking at all the factors. This goes beyond Bantraphyll. That's why you brought me here, because I can see the big picture. Our operations here are vital to our operations everywhere in the galaxy. I've given you my reports. This details everything I've discovered in my investigation leading up to the scandal and the dismissal of the previous Peak Zenith employees here, as well as an assessment of what I've been able to turn around in the short time I've been on Bantraphyll. Next, I've included the projections of what this scandal could cost us. There are a lot of people who are looking to take advantage of us, here and elsewhere. By listening to my plan to spin the media here, we take control of that. We can turn this attention that has focused on Peak Zenith and spin it to our advantage. We can start turning a profit, not just here, but Nunic is looking for a hero, and a story like Bryn's will bring a lot of people to a brand that they may have not considered before. You have to realize the power that words can have, that a simple gesture. I think by now we've all agreed that we need Bryn on our side. Really, the question is, what are we going to do with her?
Excellent. Estani, what are you thinking? So that we can come to a consensus as an audience.
I am happy to let you have the final decision.
Okay.
I could go either way, so go for it. Unless you need help.
That's I really do need help because it sort of feels like they're both
They're kind of on the same side, which
Yeah.
makes it hard.
Yeah.
I will say of the two of them, I am leaning a bit towards Silver. Silver's talking more about how it's going to benefit the company,
Mhm.
like in multiple facets and in multiple places, whereas Bryn felt way more isolated, right?
Mhm.
And like focused on one aspect. So I guess that's where my head is.
And also, I was kind of leaning towards Silver too, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't biased from the fact that Silver went last.
I don't think so. I think it
No.
was just that she hit on a whole bunch of different points.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're going to benefit from this and this and this and this and this here, everywhere. It's just all going to come up peak singeth. So,
It was my PowerPoint presentation.
yeah.
It was.
Also that.
And also, I feel like just with the power dynamics between you two, unfortunately, Silver has more sway already than Bryn does because Bryn is kind of like an employee and Silver already has like a lot of like higher on the corporate rung
Mm-hmm.
and already has Pig Zenith's trust in different ways.
Silver has the plan.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with Silver for this one,
All right.
for the final coin.
Bang. Nice. All right. Well, that was my game, so that brings us to our end. What do we want to see next time?
We will conquer this planet.
Probably. What the hell is going to go on between Sash and Ray?
Sash and Ray fight while the world crumbles.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And frigates rain down bombs from the sky.
Why is Ray taking pills? I want to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to explore that. I have ideas.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to see if Bryn's family spaceship escapes with everybody before one of you guys narratively describes it blows up for some reason.
I want to know what Sash thinks of Silver's like hiring Bryn and like kind of her. We haven't seen them since together since everything went down, and so I'm kind of curious as to her reaction to this side of things, because we've everything that she's been doing has been completely unrelated this episode, so
Yeah.
I kind of want to see more of that dynamic.
It kind of makes sense that they didn't meet up this episode because basically Sash is in the middle of house arrest.
Right.
And like if they had met, it would just fuel the flames to everyone being like, get off the planet.
Right, but I want to see her, like, what she thinks of all of this. Like, I understand why we wouldn't be seen together, but we haven't really seen any of what she thinks about what's going on, about the fact that there is this is even a scandal, the fact that being under house arrest and with all of the media has mean that they couldn't be together for this time, and all of that junk, as well as like what it means to have now like hired Bryn out from under you, sort of.
It's like you're losing everything, because you're losing Bryn, you're losing your girlfriend, you've lost your friend, you've lost your family.
Yep.
You lost your free. Yeah. Like,
that's
wow.
a part of the reason why the Solitaire was so
Mm-hmm.
dark and filled with resolve.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see more of of what is going on with poor Sash.
Yeah.
What is Sash going to do with all that money?
Well, I already spent a lot of it, but now I have more investments, so I will make money faster than before. But I just lost a ton of money just investing it in this cathedral that I can't even get to because there are people outside of my house.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're welcome for that, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this was good. This was fun. Let's do some shout outs. We're gonna go reverse clockwise. Whatever. Go first, Staney Ray.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Hi.
You.
I am Staney. I am a Twitch streamer, an artist, and newfound voice actress. Though I've been doing it for a little while. I've been doing it since October last year, but whatever. I'm doing voice
Nice.
acting stuff now too, so that's cool. So if you want to hire me, you can hit me up. But anyway, so when I'm not here being the worst person, which is great, I love being the worst person. It's so good. But when I'm not here being the worst, I'm over on my own Twitch channel on twitch.tv/Astaney, variety streams and art streams. I also have a Patreon for my art. I sell my art on Redbubble. I did all of the overlays and art for this show. And I do commissions and like Twitch emotes and all that fun stuff. So check me out.
Yeah. All right, Golden, you're next.
Hey, I'm Golden. You can find me posting randomly on Twitter. We're gonna start without numbers soon, and we got love letters ready to go, and we had a month of downtime where we're gonna find out what went wrong, but a lot went right. Because we've already read love letters, and I guess we all succeeded at our really high difficulty long-term plan. Consequences.
Yeah.
Nice.
And consequences are fun.
They're the best.
But yeah, that's it for me. When we start that back up in a couple weeks.
Sweet. Last but certainly not least, Lavender.
Mm-hmm. And also not last, because you need to include yourself.
What?
Hi.
What? Shoot, you're absolutely right. I don't. That's just how good you are.
I am neither least nor last. Hi, I'm Lavender. I am neither least nor last, and I am trying desperately to finish up Consumed, which is my role-playing game about being reality TV stars that are watched by eldritch horrors. The only thing that I'm stuck on right now, well, one thing that I'm no longer stuck on is I finally started doing actual writing for the final version of the PDFs. I'm just stuck on fitting a couple of mechanics into place, and then I should be sailing pretty smooth after that. I'm looking forward to maybe playing that soon with some of these lovely people.
Yes.
I'm very excited for that.
Yes.
I want to play your game, Lavender.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We all want to play your game, Lavender.
Yes.
All right. That'll bring it to me. Hello, I'm Kelsa. You probably knew that. This is my channel. You can find me on twitch.tv/KelsaDelphi or youtube.com/KelsaDelphi. On Twitter, it's just @Kelsa because I've been on Twitter for literally ever. And I play role-playing games on the internet. For example, tomorrow in the morning, I'm going to be over on the Greyhawk channel playing D&D. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be over on Outro's channel playing D&D. So those two characters are very different than Silver and very different from each other. One is a half-orc barbarian, and he is out for revenge and nothing else. And the other is a tabaxi monk, and she is trying to unlock the mysteries of the history of Schult as a archaeologist in Tomb of Annihilation. Probably she's gonna die. But
I'm also playing Tomb of Annihilation now.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, we just
Pretty
started
popular.
2 Saturdays ago. I do host that on my channel. It's every Saturday at like 2 p.m. Eastern. We are streaming it. And
Nice.
it's been good. Last session we finally made it into the jungle, and I breathed in some gas that made me crazy, and I got scared of one of my party members and ran and hid for a night and didn't get any sleep.
That's fantastic. I love it. Awesome. All right, well, you can always check that out as well. Thank you all for coming out and have a great night.